recovery doesn't start tomorrow. Recovery starts right now. Here to help, it's Rated R for Recovery.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rated R for Recovery. Our website is ratedrforrecovery.com. Our email is info@ratedrforrecovery.com. The show can be heard on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes Network, and of course, podcastcafelive.com. This signal music Okay, the podcastcafelive.com people is sponsored by Captain Brian's and Captain Brian's Off the Hook Comedy Club in the beautiful town on Marco Island. I am an alcoholic that doesn't drink, I am a drug addict that doesn't use, and I am a dead man that walks amongst the living, and that is by no righteous deed of my own, and my name is Fletch.
Hey, Fletch. And I'm just a girl who couldn't say no. My name is Joy Thomas, and we come to you live from the Studio 7 Cafe and Coffee Shop in Cape Coral.
At 1404 Del Prado Boulevard, Cape Coral, Florida. We will be live streaming, I believe, starting next week or the week after. We'll be taking live phone calls. The audience is a live audience. And we will be taking questions and answers at some point, won't we?
Probably not tonight, but
All right.
but at some point.
Okay, good. Once again, we can be heard on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, podcastcafelive.com. We want to thank all of our sponsors for sponsoring Rated R for Recovery. Tonight, our first guest is a young lady that I have known for probably now, let me see, maybe 10 or 15 years. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah? You hail from the city of Detroit, Michigan originally, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you hail from a neighborhood that was described as less than Jefferson-like.
Yes, definitely.
We wouldn't be moving on up to 6 Mile, would we? Or 8 Mile. It's 8 Mile, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 8 Mile, but
It
no, we
is.
wouldn't be moving there.
Okay, all right. But that's where you came from.
That is where I came from.
And her name is?
Thank you. Your name is?
My name is Jennifer, and I'm an addict.
Hi,
Hey, Jennifer.
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
What was it like, Jennifer?
In my active addiction, it was...
What was it like on 8 Mile in Detroit?
Oh, it was horrible. It was just like in the movie, pretty much. There was a lot of drugs, prostitution, gambling. Because the casinos were starting to be there, it was crazy. It was very dangerous, and I don't know, it was scary, but that's where I lived. That's all I knew. And I lived in the streets of Detroit for a lot of years. And through the winter and summers, whatever, it didn't matter. I did whatever I needed to do, and it was horrible. I don't live like that anymore today.
Where were your mother and father during that period of time?
I've never met my father, and my mother was either in jail or sick. Eventually she was sick, and she was here in Florida with my family. They were taking care of her, which was my responsibility, but I was nowhere around. I was too caught up in my addiction, so, I was out there on my own.
So how old were you in this period of time when you were on the streets in Detroit?
I started out in the streets of Detroit when I was 17, and I moved here to Florida when I turned 21.
Okay. So you're all you did was change locations, actually.
Yeah, I came here to get clean and sober, and it didn't work. Lasted maybe 3 months. My mom was sick and dying in the hospital, so I thought I was going to move here and everything would get better, but I got here in June, and by October I was in the streets of Fort Myers doing the same things I was doing in Detroit.
Is that how long ago is that?
Well, I moved here in 2001, so about 13 years.
Okay. How bad did it get?
Well, I've been to every jail you could imagine. I've been to prison. I lived in the woods. It got really bad, you know. It got to be where I would do whatever it took to get another drug or a drink. And, you know, and I don't know, I kept trying to get clean and sober, but I couldn't do it because I didn't ever really want to. And I kept going to jail and getting out and going right back to the old things, you know, because I never knew anything different. That's how I've been living since I was 17, and I'm 35 now. So, you know, that's a lot of habit. And I didn't know that I deserved anything different in life, so that's all I expected out of it. And I was okay with it. It was okay with me to live like that. It was okay that I hurt all my family and everything. None of that ever bothered me before.
Doesn't usually bother any of us. That's part of the disease, I think, of what they say is the root of my problem is selfishness and self-centeredness. I don't care. I just want more, whatever it takes, whatever. Go to jail, who cares? Go to jail, I get to sleep. Ooh, you feed me. Okay,
Get something to eat.
Gain some weight.
You have a grandmother that loves you very, very much, don't you?
I do.
Tell us about your relationship with her.
Today? Well,
No, go back to the beginning. We want the audience to hear just as if you were doing what it was like, what happened to you, and what you're like today. So each instance that we go to, maybe it's a workplace or a grandmother or the streets, because as I usually open the show with it, everybody, and I mean everybody, has a mother or father, a brother or sister, a son or a daughter, an aunt and an uncle, a co-worker, a neighbor that is affected by alcohol and drug addiction. Everybody in the audience, raise your hand if you know one of those people. So there it is. That's 100% of the people raise their hand. So you have a grandmother.
I do. My grandmother raised me for my mother because my mother was also a really, you know, bad addict and alcoholic. And she raised me. I had a great childhood. We always were really close. And then, like, she never gave up on me. She always, you know, kept on loving me and kept on supporting me and enabling me or whatever. But my grandfather wasn't like that, so I couldn't live in their house or be around them when I was using. But she always kept contact with me and stuff. So our relationship never really suffered too bad because I always told her everything. You know, that's one thing. I was always honest with my grandma. Maybe not with myself or anyone else, but I was always honest with her.
Well, that's amazing.
So she's very supportive of me now, you know. My grandfather passed away last year, so when I went to jail the last time, I decided that I was it was either go be there for my grandma and try to, you know, get clean again, or, you know, go back out using and, you know, leave her here with nobody. And, you know, I prayed about it, and God put me right where I needed to be.
Where you needed to be.
And today, me and my grandma get along like we're best friends. I tell her everything, and she supports me. You know, she's helped me out a lot this time around because she says there's something different about me. And she just, like, a lot of people in my family doubt me, and they get upset because of the things that she does to help me, like co-signing for things for me. Mm-hmm. And they don't think that she should do any of those things because my track record sucks. But she believes in me. So, you know, that's awesome to me. And it keeps me fighting, you know, on those days that suck.
I laughed because my track record sucked too.
So how long have you been sober?
I've been clean and sober for 9 months and 2 days today.
And what's the longest time you ever had?
11 months and 29 days.
Okay, so you're almost up to, like, you know, your longest point. And once you pass that point, that's kind of where the friends and family will begin to notice, you know, that something's different. And when you said that your grandma said that there was something different about you, you know, I believe that when we tap into God, that's when that happens, and it's something that can't be faked.
Yeah, she's got so much faith in me, and it's amazing. Sometimes it hurts my feelings when my family will, like, say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. What if she goes back out or whatever?" My grandma's like, "She's not going this time. She's here to stay," and that gives me a lot of hope, you know, because if she believes in me, then, you know, it just makes me feel so, like.
Has she said that in the past, though, also?
No, she never really thought she would worry about me. Like, I would be out, and, like, if it would get too late, she would call me freaking out. She doesn't do that anymore, you know. She doesn't even call. Even when I was driving her car, she didn't call. Now I have my own car, so she doesn't really have a reason, but, you know.
Amen. So I was just about to say the same thing. That previous time where you had the 11 months and whatever days you said, for whatever reason, for whatever happened, you walked away from recovery.
I did.
And how was it when you walked away from it?
It was just like I had never stopped.
And do you know exactly why?
Well, I stopped doing everything, and I was never really in it for myself. I was in it because drug court wanted me to do it, because people said I couldn't do it. I never did it because I wanted to be clean or I wanted to change. I just did it to prove people wrong, because that's how that's just the type of person I've always been. If they say I can't do something, I prove them wrong, and then, in your face, haha, Jennifer Ford, whoops, did it. But, and that's it. And, this time it was my choice. Nobody forced me. Nobody makes me do anything. I go to meetings because I want to. I read my literature. I pray. I do all those things because I choose to, not because I have to. And it feels awesome.
Well, I'm also a product of having some time clean and sober, doing some work that people suggested, and I too went back out. And right when I went back out, you and I ran into each other.
We did.
And at that time, you told me, as I can remember like it was yesterday, it's great. It's great. I'm not like I used to be. I can control. You didn't say you could control it, but you were saying how good it was. Where did that come from, and how do you look at that at that conversation? It doesn't have to be word for word, but you remember what I'm talking about.
I do remember that, and well, at that time, I had a whole lot of recovery, and I had a whole lot of knowledge, but I just wasn't putting any of it in action at the time, and it was still stuck with me, because even when I was faking it, I still was getting results, and I still felt good about who I was. Not that I just never liked myself, and I never really wanted to be there. So when we had that conversation, I was in my active addiction, thinking I could trust God, clean house, help others, and save the world. So to me, it was like, it's great, it's not that bad out here. Right. But really, I was miserable, but I didn't want to say that, because then, my theory would be wrong. And, the good addict that I am, I don't want to be wrong,
Absolutely.
So that's where that came from.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share your experience, your strength, and your hope with those that are listening. And the audience, and go ahead.
Is there anything you'd like to say? Yeah.
All I know is that since I've been in recovery this time, and I've been doing it from my heart and actually putting work into it, and not just going through the motions, but actually being honest and everything like that, my life has changed dramatically and for the better. I have things in my life today that I never thought I would ever have in my life, and it's amazing. And it's everything that I've went through in my past, all the struggles, all throughout my addiction, through my relapses and my other times in recovery and everything like that, they were all worth it. I learned something from them. And, if you're struggling or whatever, just give it a chance, because it actually will change you if you let it, and you have to really desire it in your heart, though, because if you don't really want it, it's not going to work for you, because you're going to find every excuse for it not to. But as soon as you're ready to let it work, God will open amazing doors in your life, and it's just, I can't even put into words how different it is and how amazing I feel inside.
Do you know Eminem?
Do I know Eminem?
Yeah.
My mom used to shoot pool with him.
Just checking. Before we go to break, I want to just close with this segment with telling you that I've known Jennifer for many years. I knew her on the street, and we ran together on the street quite a bit of times. And then I want to tell you that there is nobody that would go to bat for you as many times as she could, whether it be in good or bad times, than this woman right here. That she has been an inspiration to me, and just a love and a kinship that I can't even explain, because when it goes from the street to this area right here, it's a bond that is just too much for words. So let's have a nice round of applause for Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Have you been considering a kitchen renovation or bathroom remodeling? There's no one better to call than the professionals at Honey's Construction. Value, beauty, and functionality. Get the right design for your kitchen or bathroom and add significant value to your home. Call Honey's Construction today at 229-4934 for a free in-home consultation. Honey's Construction's purpose and mission is to fulfill dreams and to be grateful for the many blessings we enjoy each and every day. 229-4934. Get the taste of home while eating out. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering. Open daily for breakfast and lunch and located at 2400 First Street in downtown Fort Myers. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering specializes in homemade soups, salads, sandwiches, and desserts. And Gwendolyn's has been rated 5 stars by Urban Spoon and Yelp. Get the taste of home while dining out. Or let us bring the taste of home to your home with our free delivery. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering, 2400 First Street, downtown Fort Myers.
Every Friday night at 6:45 p.m., experience Celebrate Recovery at Grace Church at 13 Southeast 21st Place in Cape Coral. The purpose of Celebrate Recovery is to encourage fellowship and to celebrate God's healing power in our lives as we work our way along the road to recovery. By working through the 12 steps and 8 principles of Celebrate Recovery, we grow spiritually and we are freed from our hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Celebrate Recovery every Friday night at 6:45 p.m. at Grace Church, 13 Southeast 21st Place in Cape Coral.
Have you been charged with a crime? You could face serious penalties for conviction, and it is vitally important that you have skilled legal assistance on your side during this time. Call Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law today. 888-512-6254. Results matter. With a track record of success, our methods are tried and true. Mistakes happen, but we can help. Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law. Visit FortMyersCriminalLawFirm.com or call 888-512-6254. Recovery starts right now. Here to help. It's Rated R for Recovery.
I caught you knocking at my cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. I hit the city and I lost my band. I watched the needle take another man. Gone, gone, the damage done. I sing the song because I love the man. I know that some of you don't understand. Milk blood to keep from running out. I've seen the needle and the damage done. A little part of it in everyone. But every junkie's like a setting sun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to you're listening to Rated R for Recovery. It can be heard on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, and podcastcafelive.com. Next week we should be streaming live. Hopefully, we have some kinks that we need to work out, but that's like anything else that's new.
That happens.
Yeah. Okay. How come I can't hear myself nor you in my headphones? But I guess that doesn't matter now. We are broadcasting live from Studio 7 Cafe on Del Prado Boulevard in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. We can be heard around the world, and we are doing this in front of a live studio audience. Our website is ratedrforrecovery.com. Email info@ratedrforrecovery.com. And once again, a shout out and a thank you to Captain Brian from Captain Brian's Off the Hook Comedy Club on Marco Island. Without him, this show would not be possible.
Thanks, Captain.
along with our other sponsors. And speaking of our other sponsors, one of our sponsors is Gwendolyn's Cafe, the only 4-star or 5-star restaurant rated restaurant in downtown Fort Myers, located at the corner of First and Lee.
It's a good restaurant.
Specializing in homemade soups, the best homemade chili that is the owner's mother's recipe, and a delivery service that can take within a 20-mile radius. The cafe opens at what, 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, 6:30, what?
7.
and it's open till sometime in the afternoon.
2:30.
Yeah, at 2:30. And the voice you heard is that of Gwen, who owns Gwendolyn's Cafe. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here.
Gwen, tell us. Very, very popular place and very popular restaurant, not only in the recovery community, but just because it's got awesome food.
It's pretty tasty.
It is very
Yes.
tasty.
And I got to say, this coffee that was just made for me is delicious too. Thank you.
And that would be courtesy of Studio 7 Cafe.
Yes.
Now, you opened your restaurant. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Gwendolyn, I am a recovering addict and alcoholic, and I'm grateful to be here. Sobriety date of April 27, 2008. I haven't had a hangover in 2,119 days.
Wow.
What? Yeah, right on. So, in which also allows me to be here this evening.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
We can show up.
that's right. Suit up and showed up.
So did it get? So it got bad at one point. You were drinking and drugging, having a good old time, and then just decided to go to rehab. Was that?
Yeah, no, the good old times had pretty much stopped a few years before that.
Okay.
And what to say? I know in my heart I was born an alcoholic. Drugs were introduced to me at a very young age. I am a product of private school. When I was allowed to go to public school, because I had been very sheltered and I was naive, I was hungry to be accepted into the circle of public school kids, and they were very kind and also liked to smoke their weed. So at the age of 13, I was smoking weed and drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, which came out of their grandfather's garage refrigerators.
Yum.
Loved it. Yes, I
drank
did.
it.
Didn't like the weed. I loved the beer. Mm-hmm.
And then and keep going. Keep go. It
Just
doesn't
go.
have to be a step.
Just go.
Go.
All right. Long story short, because it is a long story. Let's see. Loved alcohol. Loved what it did to me. I never felt like I belonged, which is common thread amongst alcoholics and addicts. Always wanted to change who I was, what I was, and I found that, the drink was liquid courage for me.
And what kind of people did you run with towards the in the midst of all this?
Pick a flavor.
Yeah.
Bikers? All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. I was down and dirty. I have partied with the best, and I have partied with the best of the worst.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
In fact, the bikers I hear came to you when they wanted drugs. Was that?
I had good connections.
All right.
Absolutely. You
Okay.
listened to a lot of my tales. Absolutely.
I work for you.
I did a little time in Texas where I was introduced to some really horrible drugs, and I made friends with people that had very good horrible drugs, and then other people want some of that. So, and I was a very bad purveyor of such items.
We talk to people, Joy, like Gwen and like Jennifer previous to this. It's hard to imagine these people, or us, I'll say us, what we were like before.
Right, and the people that you see today don't
Yeah.
look much like what we described.
Yeah.
Not at all!
No. Well, I'll share just a quick thing is I attend 2 different fellowships, 12-step programs, and, I do one for my alcoholism, and then I throw in the other one for my drug addiction. And there was a favorite meeting of mine that I go to, try to as much as I can, and an old friend of mine that I had not seen in a while showed up one night in the drug 12-step program meeting, and she was like, "Gwen, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What? I'm a freaking drug addict." She's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." But because she had seen me sober for a couple years, clean and sober, so she had no idea what my history was, because I'd already worked past all that.
Ah.
You know, yeah.
Okay. All
yeah,
right,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. Yeah.
I love it. You know what? Okay. Yay that you're surprised that I'm a recovering drug addict. Yay. Okay, it's working.
What was the bottom for you?
The bottom for me was on April 26th of 2008. The boyfriend and I were fighting, raging, drinking, drugging at each other. And this went on through the whole course of the day. I made him leave at some point in the afternoon. I said, get your shit and get out of my house. I'm sick and tired of this. And made him leave, and I knew in my heart that it was bad. That's impending doom. I knew impending doom was right out there. And so after I made him leave, many phone calls later to his cell phone and no responses, I said, all right, well, that's it. About 11:59 that night, I sent him the last text, which was, please don't die. And about 6 o'clock in the morning, the police were in my house saying that he had been shot. And, he had been with the wrong guy at the wrong time, and they were getting their party on, and the gentleman he was partying with decided that it was over. That the party was over. Give me your watch, give me your car keys, give me your debit card, and he shot him with a .40 caliber and left him for dead.
Right.
Wow.
So, when I was standing in my kitchen at 6:30 in the morning, I'd been affected. I had lost another boyfriend to drunk driving who had been out one night looking for me. So it was like a flashback of I just lost another person that I love because of my chaos and, But so that's where he was in ICU, 8th floor. They had removed organs and reattached things, and, I just was done, and whether he lived or died, I knew I couldn't live that way anymore. I couldn't have a Saturday where I was drinking and drugging and fighting and screaming and yelling, and that goes, hand in hand with that kind of rage. I just couldn't live that way anymore, and so I went back into the rooms of my 12-step program, and I said, I quit. I can't do this anymore. God bless Jennifer for her being done in her mid-30s.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I picked up my last white chip, I was 42, and I tried and tried and tried, but it took what it took for us to get here, and it felt different. That last white chip felt different. I was done. I was broken.
Now, so you got clean and sober. You surrendered to the fact that you couldn't do this on your own.
Right.
You asked the others in the fellowship for help. They helped you.
They did.
Now you help others. Tell us
do.
when Gwendolyn's Cafe opened, what it is, what it spawned from. Tell us about Gwendolyn's Cafe.
Let's see. I've always been in the food business for 90% of my working career. I'm a high school dropout with a college degree. I've got a degree in hotel restaurant management. I know, right? Yeah. Well, tell me I can't do something. Well, baby. All right. That's another story. So I got a degree in hotel restaurant management, not realizing where it was going to take me. And then also, if you're a good little alcoholic and a drug addict, then their restaurants are perfect. So, because a lot of us are employed and active using in the industry. So anyways, I had the opportunity to see this location downtown, and I had just a few dollars, but I know it was a God thing. I'd owned a restaurant before, and I was successful enough at it to make the payroll and keep the lights on, and a woman came in and loved it and purchased it from me. But what she did not know was that most of my time was spent at the bar that was in the same strip mall, and that any profit I was making at all went in my belly or went up my face.
Right.
So I tell people I pretty much drank and drugged my way out of that place, because trying to keep it open successfully was killing me, because I was drinking every day. And then so when this opportunity arose, I fought it because it's a lot of work. It's on your mind 24/7, and taxes have to be paid. You've got to be responsible. You got to make sure your product's fresh, and there's safety, and then there's your team that can be a little crazy. But it's a whole different ball game this time. I started employing people that I freaking just loved, And one thing
What
about
type of people were that, Gwen?
addicts and alcoholics.
Amen.
There's nobody stronger than us.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay.
We work hard, we play hard, but then when we get straight, we can still work hard and play hard. We become people with integrity, with morals, deeper morals. I believe in my whole heart that when somebody successfully works the 12 steps and cleans all that muck out, you're like a baby, but you're all fresh and clean and ready to do the right thing. We've experienced the uglies, and we know that we don't want to do that anymore. We see a $5 bill on the ground, we're going to pick it up and try to give it to somebody.
Right.
Say, dude, this ain't mine. And it's
Just take it, will you?
Yeah. What? Do you need $5? I just found it, and I'm not keeping it. But that's where our minds
You
go.
have a great supporter, an immediate member of your family that loves you so much, that just is behind you 100%. Tell us about your father.
Oh, my dad. Yeah. Because of my addiction when I was a teenager, getting tossed out of high school, I fell in love with another young man who was relocating, and he said, come with me. My family was on their way to Japan, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to a little island with my mother, and they don't speak English, and I don't know what kind of beer they drink over there, and I'm not going. So long story short, I got married at 16 and moved to Texas, and was able to do what I wanted to do, and that was the last time I lived with my father. Was at 16 years old. It was not a good relationship. I learned a lot. It was really, really bad. Long story short, when I came back in this last time, the house I was renting rooms from, that person was actively using, and I was finding stuff in the kitchen drawers, and I knew that if I wanted to live and do this deal that I had to leave. And I had nowhere else to go because I had burned everybody else I had stayed with, and I had the little clothes hanger bar in the back of my SUV, and my clothes smelled like cigarettes from me staying in my car and living in a car or whatever. I've been through many chapters where I too lived in a tent. Go up to the back of somebody's house, use their hose nozzle, and if you get your mouth too close to it, it hurts your teeth. Yeah, we know that one. But so I saw my dad in a parking lot shortly after I got sober, and I just said a quick prayer to God, and I said, please help me. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I need help. I need to be safe, and could I stay with you? And he hemmed and hawed because he doesn't know me. My father's not an alcoholic, and he doesn't know the world that I've been through. And he said, well, okay, let's set a time and we'll talk about this. And I was like, okay. But so we sat down, and he asked, how long do I need to stay? And I said nothing, and he said 30 days, and I said, yeah, and he said 60 days, and I said, he said 90 days. I said, sold. I said, give me 90 days to straighten my stuff out. I owe everybody, let me figure out how I can save a couple dollars and go find someplace safe to live. Well, so he saw me going to meetings and going to work, and I went to meetings and I went to work, and I started to, I was still going through the shakes and eating chocolate like there was no freaking tomorrow, and because of the sugar that I was stopped putting in from the alcohol, and he and I eventually started to have a cup of coffee with each other, and he'd ask me about these meetings, and then he'd ask me how my work day was, and are you going to go to a meeting tonight, Gwen? And I was like, yeah, and I'm very fortunate that when I got sober this time, there were meetings at 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And so I would try to do a meeting in the morning before work, and then I'd hit him up at 10 o'clock at night, because that was my witching hour. I'm nocturnal. I like to clean at night. I like to drink at night. I like to do everything at night. So for me to go to a meeting and finish up my day, do a prayer to prayer, that's awesome. So I did that for about a year and a half, my first year and a half. But it got to the point to where my dad and I started being able to talk to each other, and then he would ask me about alcoholism and why couldn't I just stop, And I said, it's not like that, Dad. And so overall, when he started to see me change, and I tried to figure out how to communicate with him and not be afraid to talk to him, because I was always afraid of my father. And he started sending me to meetings with cookies and Cheez-Its from the pantry. And then my sister would send down brownies, and he would like, here, take the brownies to the meeting. You don't have to tell them that there's fiber in there for me, but you don't have to tell, but go ahead and take the brownies. And I was like, Dad, they're going to let me go to the meeting even if I don't bring food. So I'd bring food and I'd leave them out on the porch. But
he saw something in you
he
change.
did. He is absolutely the biggest cheerleader for these 12-step programs.
He's the biggest cheerleader for you.
He is. Yeah, I got my dad, or my dad got me.
And so now you have a restaurant.
Yes, so now I have a restaurant in, so all of us are in recovery. And you know what? That's it. The best part of that is we go through, can I cuss?
Sure.
No, I can't. She says no. Okay,
international.
we go through stuff,
Yeah.
and I have a potty mouth, and
She does.
I do. I like the F word. So we go through things. We're hot, we're cold. Someone's off. Someone's everything, and we all figured it out. We all figure it out, but we all know how to talk to each other. That's like the best part of it. And we all have goals that we all want to get better. We all want to move up to, this little restaurant started out as like a teeny tiny little seed of nothing, and we're in our 4th year of business, and we have so much greatness that's going on right now. Right. It's crazy. It is, the opportunities for us are so big right now that my head can't even comprehend it.
That's amazing.
It's big. It's big.
Now let me.
And I'm taking them with me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I should have never left. I forget how long I was in sobriety. I had just gotten rehired back from a broadcasting company in Estero that decided they wanted me to come back to work for them, and that was just a miracle in itself. And I would work from 5:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I hounded Gwen, actually. And I said, let me be your delivery guy. So one day she said, okay, let's try. I want to tell you something about what Gwen does and what Gwendolyn's Cafe is from my perspective, if I may. And it's a safe haven for people that want to get back on their feet, and that because getting a job is being reacclimated back into society, whether we're coming out of jails like Jennifer and I, or just coming off the street. We need to be reacclimated back into society as we start to get a little bit of a clearer mind and a little bit of more progress as we get some more information about ourselves. Gwen offers that to us. I say us, those of us in recovery.
And we have one of those people here.
And we do. We do. Right. I want to touch on one thing, though. I was working for Gwen one day when I answered the phone, and the man at the other end of the phone said, this is CBS News in New York. And I said, right, and I was going to hang up on him. But for some reason I didn't, because we were busy at the time. I think it was right after lunchtime or right before lunchtime. And he said, no, I'm calling from so-and-so's office in CBS in New York. And we want to do a story on Gwen. And were you there, or did they have to call you back, right?
No. Okay, we have our little local CBS is, 3 blocks that you delivered quite a bit to? So when you said, Gwen, I was back there sauteing. I had my chef's coat on. I was cooking and working, and you said CBS is on the phone. And I said, tell them to call back. This ain't freaking sweetie pies, I didn't know why Wink wanted to talk to me. And you said, no, it's CBS from New York. And I said, well, still, they got to call back. I'm cooking. Right. So.
But to make a long story short, they flew down with a camera crew or a camera guy, and what was his name?
Bob.
No, not Bob. The guy.
The producer. Oh, Steve Hartman.
Steve Hartman was the interviewer who does a portion on the CBS Good Morning Show or Sunday Morning Show.
No, it's Sunday, On the Road with Steve Hartman Friday nights. They do the good feel piece that always makes you cry.
Okay, so that's who came down, and he did a whole piece on Gwen. And after that happened, it was on the restaurant. It wasn't just me. It was on the restaurant. Okay, so it was on the restaurant, and after that happened, people would come, you'd be waiting on a table or you'd be clearing off a table, and the people would say, I'm from Indiana. I saw you on the CBS News. We flew here just to see what Gwen does or what this restaurant does. It was a huge impact, And it is part of the growth that one woman has instilled. Now, I'm not putting Gwen up on a pedestal, but she's a person who's in the trenches that hires people in recovery. Therefore, it is a blossoming effect that reaches out and out and out and out, and people start to hear about it, and they want to come in and in and in, and they want to find out about it. One of the people that have found out it from the inside is Stephen, who is sitting next to Gwen. Stephen, good afternoon.
Yeah,
good evening. What do you do for Gwen?
I'm the chef at GWENDOLYN'S.
Talking to the mic, Steve.
I'm the chef at GWENDOLYN'S.
Thank you very much. Now, what are your credentials for that? How did you? Are you a good drug addict and an alcoholic? Is that how you became a chef? Tell us about that.
I'm pretty high quality drug addict and alcoholic. I've been cooking and all that for a long time, but ripping and running for a long time. 28, so I'm glad I am where I am now. It sort of was a coincidence. I like that you say it was a safe haven. I was at about the 6 months of my sobriety when I got a phone call from a mutual friend that was, Gwen needs someone now. Get there. And I pretty much stopped what I was doing and ran down the street. And,
really?
I sat there for about 3 hours while she was cooking and, just waited. And right then and there, that's what got me the job. She's like, you wait 3 hours, then you're definitely someone I want to get here.
Nice.
So,
Okay. Gwen, there are people that come to work for you that dabble in sobriety. There are people like your head waitress who has been there many years, who is a trooper. There's people like Stephen. What do you find that the difference? When they come in, who the people are that are really serious that want to work.
Yeah, I tell people, I've had so many people come in and apply for a job and they think that their one credential for employment is that they're in sobriety.
That was my only credential.
Well, yeah, but again, you said you hounded me, you wore me down. But it's also if you're brand new, and I will tell people I will not hire you until you do just a little more work, because I'm not going to be the one that puts you. I don't want to be the person that puts a paycheck in your hand so that you can go back out, because it's happened.
And there is that thing that you said, that Jen said, about the people around us that can see us change. I saw a change in them, and it's something that can't be faked. I believe it's what happens when God really takes you in His hand, and that shows to a certain extent. And it's one day at a time, and it may not be there tomorrow, but you can see if it's there today, and there's just something about it that gives you a clue.
Yes, and then the few people that have made it in and worked with us that are not completely honest with themselves or with us, they do not last long.
No.
It's gotta be a really
they blow
uncomfortable.
themselves up really quick.
And there's some people
life
that
is unmanageable, and we just stand back and we go, okay, this is gonna. It's like,
Sit back and watch the parade.
But you have some sort of barometer of some sort, because there's some people that you'll let walk away that blow up and they're gone. There's some people that you take back. And there's got to be some sort of barometer to do that. We're really running out of time right now, too. Stephen, before we do go to our next break, tell us a little bit about working at Gwendolyn's Cafe and how that has helped you in your sobriety, and what you could say to somebody else.
I don't know. It's just been interesting. You come in and you like you were saying, you got to get acclimated to being into the workforce and all that. Not knowing anything about living. It's hard to get back into the world of the living. So, finding some place that had sober people in the restaurant was just a godsend. And, just through having Gwen there to always, give me the advice or put me in place when I need to be, put in place, or, just anything. And just having the people around you that have time and, sobriety, it's just an awesome feeling to have. And, for anyone that's getting into sobriety, you just got to keep trudging, because, a lot of things are going to hit you, and, you're going to feel like the world's on your shoulders. But if you stick with it and you keep that weight up, then, the doors will open, like Jennifer was saying, to just so many great things in the life.
Good.
Just do it for one more day.
That's all you got
And somebody
sometimes.
said the other day, it's not for people who want it, it's not for people who need it, it's for people who do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Gwendolyn from Gwendolyn's Cafe, the only 5-star restaurant located at the corner of 1st and Lee Street in downtown Fort Myers, Florida.
And Chef Stephen.
And Chef Stephen. Let's have a nice round of applause for them. We are going to take a slight pause, and our musical guest tonight, George Lewis and Friends, will be up right after this. You're listening to Rated R for Recovery.
Have you been considering a kitchen renovation or bathroom remodeling? There's no one better to call than the professionals at Honey's Construction. Value, beauty, and functionality. Get the right design for your kitchen or bathroom and add significant value to your home. Call Honey's Construction today at 229-4934 for a free in-home consultation. Honey's Construction's purpose and mission is to fulfill dreams and to be grateful for the many blessings we enjoy each and every day. 229-4934. Get the taste of home while eating out. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering. Open daily for breakfast and lunch and located at 2400 First Street in downtown Fort Myers. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering specializes in homemade soups, salads, sandwiches, and desserts. And Gwendolyn's has been rated 5 stars by Urban Spoon and Yelp. Get the taste of home while dining out. Or let us bring the taste of home to your home with our free delivery. Gwendolyn's Cafe and Catering, 2400 First Street, downtown Fort Myers.
Every Friday night at 6:45 p.m., experience Celebrate Recovery at Grace Church at 13 Southeast 21st Place in Cape Coral. The purpose of Celebrate Recovery is to encourage fellowship and to celebrate God's healing power in our lives as we work our way along the road to recovery. By working through the 12 steps and 8 principles of Celebrate Recovery, we grow spiritually and we are freed from our hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Celebrate Recovery every Friday night at 6:45 p.m. at Grace Church, 13 Southeast 21st Place in Cape Coral.
Have you been charged with a crime? You could face serious penalties for conviction, and it is vitally important that you have skilled legal assistance on your side during this time. Call Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law today. 888-512-6254. Results matter. With a track record of success, our methods are tried and true. Mistakes happen, but we can help. Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law. Visit FortMyersCriminalLawFirm.com or call 888-512-6254. Bust a gut laughing at Off the Hook Comedy Club inside Captain Brian's Seafood and Raw Bar. For tickets, call 239-389-6900. That's 389-6900. Or visit OffTheHookComedy.com. Off the Hook Comedy Club inside Captain Brian's Seafood and Raw Bar. Enjoy the best raw bar in Southwest Florida and a menu of delicious entrees like juicy prime rib and the best seafood, period. Located at 599 South Collier Boulevard, Suite 218 on Marco Island, across from the Hilton Hotel. Visit OffTheHookComedy.com. Recovery doesn't start tomorrow. Recovery starts right now. Here to help, it's Rated R for Recovery.
We are Rated R for Recovery. Website is ratedrforrecovery.com. Email us at info@ratedrforrecovery.com. You'll be able to hear the show on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, podcastcafelive.com. Once again, a special thanks to Captain Brian of Captain Brian's Off the Hook Comedy Club, and also all of our other sponsors, such as Gwen from Gwendolyn's Cafe. In the future, hopefully you'll be able to hear everything. We do it in front of the live studio audience at Studio Cafe on Del Prado Boulevard in Cape Coral, Florida. I say Cape Coral, Florida because this show can be heard around the world. Our guest right now is George Lewis. Good evening, George.
How are you?
Hey, George. George gained a lot of popularity in this area because he is a great, not just good, he is a great musician. He's a great songwriter. He's a great singer. George and I met probably 2 years ago in downtown Fort Myers, as I am part of a group called the All-American Vinyl All-Stars, which is a group of legendary classic rock musicians that get together every year in downtown Fort Myers, and you opened for them that year, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and we did a little interview, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did, and that was a very, very busy year for me.
And
I was all
you know what I
over the place.
remember about that interview? Is that I said to you at some point in that interview that I'm in recovery, and something sparkled in your eye, and we didn't really talk about recovery, and then we met again at the Seminole Gaming Casino or Palace, whatever they call it, in Immokalee, and you were doing a show out there, and you and I talked a little bit about recovery in one of those fancy mobile homes that musicians travel in.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened after that, George?
Well, we played a lot that year. Probably, we did up to 3 shows a day. So, my grandma always used to tell me that be careful what you wish for, because when you get it, you better be ready for it. And things just happened so fast for me that I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it.
In what way?
Well, music is a beautiful thing when it's about the music. When it becomes not about the music anymore, and it becomes more about, being out all the time, partying. You have no time for yourself. You give yourself away to everybody, and then when you come home, there's nothing left.
It's also a perception of what I'm supposed to be like. I'm a rock guy. I'm doing rock music. I need to be partying with these other rockers, and I need to be partying with the crowd that's partying with me. And in order to, I felt for a long time that I had to bring myself to a certain level of intoxication in order to be what I needed to be. Is that your experience?
Most definitely. And nobody could tell me anything.
So you're signed by an independent label, and do you want to talk about that?
I'm signed by a record label called Creative Minds Records. My music's available on iTunes and all that. I've done 2 albums and probably have about 5 more albums of music ready to be recorded, but we'll see what happens with that.
But at that point, what we're talking about, going back to then, when we needed to think that intoxication level had to be a certain thing, the bottom dropped out for you, didn't it?
The bottom dropped out for me. You know what? For me, it's all, who you surround yourself with.
So what happened? Where'd you go? What happened? Did you find yourself powerless and couldn't stop?
Well, I ended up in Cincinnati in the wintertime shooting heroin. So,
That's okay.
You don't get much worse than that.
All right. And where'd you go? What happened to you? Tell us a little bit about the process to get back to a normal state of mind and body.
I don't know if I'll ever be normal.
Well, a living, breathing state of normal. Not normal, but.
I ended up going to Northern California to a clinic for, people that are addicted to opiates.
Right.
And ended up getting clean out in the redwood forest, and then ended up in Mexico for 6 months, and then came back here.
What'd you do in Mexico? You found a root, didn't you?
I found some roots.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's difficult getting back to who you really are and who you think you are. It's 2 separate things. People have their own perception of themselves that most of the time is not in reality. It's delusional, especially when you're doing opiates and everything else. But I did a lot of walking around down there. I was up in the mountains and the pyramids and hanging out with monkeys, and saw what life really is. Mexico, they don't have McDonald's down where I was. If you want a chicken, you got to go to the chicken man, and they kill the chicken right in front of you and cook it, and it kind of puts you back to what life really is.
I saw a number of pictures that you put on social media, so I kind of followed you that way. I kind of we talked a little bit while you were down there on social media, and then when you came back, that's when we reconnected, and I asked you to come on this show.
Well, I'd do anything for you, John, and it's my pleasure to be here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, George, now where are you today? Where are you right now?
I'm in a good place.
Okay.
I work every day, go to NA, and, I make my decisions based on reality mostly. And just every day is a different day and a different struggle.
Okay. Now, but the struggles now are nothing like the struggles in Cincinnati in the wintertime shooting dope, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, it's reality based.
Well, that's reality too. Sitting in Cincinnati in the wintertime with a needle in your arm, that's reality, George.
Yeah. It's it's paying bills,
Fine.
and working and taking care of the people that I love and myself.
Amen. Amen. So, how's your writing coming along?
My writing's always going to be there. I write when I walk down the street. So,
okay. Tell us a little bit about what your goals and aspirations are. Anything that you want to promote right now, please use this forum to do it. It's yours.
I appreciate that. I'm not here for self-promotion, but I'm going to continue to play my music as much as I can. I'm not so oriented on worrying about doing, big things, for other people. My main goal in my life right now is to continue to prosper in myself. That's the reality of it. I'm not living for anybody else anymore, and I think that's what happens when you get off the pills and you get off the heroin and the opiates. Everything changes. You start to see life as it really is. It's not you're not living your life for somebody else.
It's not that false reality.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to think of, it's not that seemingly hopeless state of mind and body either, is it?
Most definitely not.
Because that word, the key word in that phrase is seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. It's not really hopeless. Well, I think it is, because I don't have a drinking problem, I got a thinking problem. Okay, George, thank you so much for taking time to come on the show, share a little bit about what you were like, what happened to you and you were like today. And right now we're going to invite the other members of your band to come up to the stage, and you're going to do a song that, is this a song? Tell us about the song.
The song's about children. People have kids and they don't realize that, every little action that we have with our children in life affects everybody in this world. I grew up in a home that was just my mom and me and my brother, and with no dad, and it ends up shaping and affecting our lives and everybody that's connected to us, and even people that aren't connected to us. So the song's called The Little Ones.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you now George Lewis and two of his bandmates, which are going to play the song. What's it called again?
Little Ones.
The Little Ones. Give them a nice round of applause, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen.
See that house, it is no home. There's children there with no lights on. It's such a shame to see all the pain in their lives, never looking into their father's eyes. Call the house now from time to time to bring them food, make sure they're alright. It's a shame you see the pain in their lives, never giving them a chance to grow. And we wasted reflection as he walks by. You swear to God he'd never be that man that never gave him a chance at all. We wasted long, long lives, not living for the little ones. Stay
Great job. Great job. Ladies and gentlemen, George Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Rated R for Recovery, which can be heard on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, and podcastcafelive.com. We want to thank our sponsors. Before we leave, make sure that you join us next week when we'll be doing an episode on Grace Church. Our guests will be Pastor George Acevedo, Pastor Wes Olds, Pastor Arlene Jackson, which is the head pastor of the downtown Fort Myers campus of Grace Church, Pastor Sherry Lacey, which is the head pastor of the Shores campus, and Celebrate Recovery leader Greg Mulkey. Our musical